YouTube, we got a busy day ahead of us, starting my day out on the road at 9 a.m., which isn't early for a lot of you guys, but I'll be working probably till 11 tonight. But I want to discuss something with you guys because even people who know me have my phone number, like, they don't understand business a lot of times, especially when you're trying to innovate. I would say most brands in the barbering industry are just private labeling, which isn't a big deal. You got to start somewhere. Finding something that's already being made by a factory, usually in China, and in most cases, the cheapest way possible. And then they just take their logo, they print it on, they order a bunch of it, they start selling it. You know, they might get a widget for $3 and sell it for 12. Their gross profit after it's shipped and all that stuff would probably be $7, probably $8, and that's it. They're done. It's a very simple business model and it's very effective, and that's why a lot of brands use it, because it's the most cost effective, it's the most profitable way to get started, and honestly to continue if you can keep and nurture that relationship. There's the other side, companies like Wall, like Andis, like Babyliss, who open up their own molds, their own tooling, who create something from scratch. Sometimes they even create the motors, the internals, the components that are in there. Sometimes they have to because they have an idea and there's no PCB board that has the logic to create exactly what it is that they're trying to create for the marketplace. And for bigger brands, this is still very, very profitable because let's say they have $1 million budget to create a product, you know, that might be 1% of their annual revenue. You know what I mean? If you're, think about a company who's doing $100 million a year, which a lot of these brands are doing. Now, for a smaller brand to do that, it can take 30%, 40%, 50%, 20%, 10%, even 90% of their annual revenues to do the same thing, because $1 million obviously for a smaller business is a lot of money. You got a lot of critics, and I'm going to use our newest product as an example. You need to support more clippers. You need to be more compatible for more clippers. Well, we started out with 13 pods, and we have about 10 that are in development right now. When you start developing a product, it's not just you have an idea and go do it. You draw the idea and then you do some 3D renderings, you do some 3D prints, and you try to get a working prototype going. And that working prototype is gonna suck. And then you do version 2, and that's gonna suck too. And then you do version 3, and that's gonna suck too. You do version 4, that's gonna suck. Version 5 is gonna get better. Version 6 is gonna get better. Version 7 is gonna get better. By the time you know it, you've done 10 different versions. It's gone from this to a completely different product, night and day. And in that time span, you might have spent $100,000. You have engineers doing this stuff. Do you think that they have a minimum wage salary? For the most part, no. Even in China, your project managers and engineers make a lot of money, well over 6 figures. There is a cost associated with that. Here's another cost that's associated with it. If you want to build a product in China without it getting copied, we've dealt with that. You have to do a lot of extra stuff. You have to get patents, not just in the United States, but in China. You have to have a hub, an assembly plant, pretty much, an assembly factory. It has different components made in different factories where those factories don't know exactly what they're making it for because they don't see the finished product. The finished product gets made by either a factory that you own in China or a factory you really, really trust in China. That way you know exactly where leaks could be happening, how your ideas are getting stolen before you even release your product. There's all kinds of things here, variables here. That adds extra cost to a company that isn't private labeling, has great ideas and doesn't want them to get stolen. Because a lot of employees at factories, if they know what you're making, they'll steal molds for a fee and give them to another factory and make 10 grand for that mold. And in China, for the factory workers, that's a lot of money. For the execs there, the engineers there, they're probably not going to do that unless, they got a really good offering somewhere else. And so there's some politicking and just some variables there that add on to cost if you're trying to innovate and create something new. You finally got a working prototype that you like, and you're already probably $60,000 to $100,000 in. This is after you've already figured out the logistics of how you're going to keep other factories in China from stealing your ideas. And then people ask, well, how come you don't just make it in the United States? Well, it can get stolen in the United States, of course, as well. But here's the thing. When you're in an industry where the majority of innovative products are made in China, it is going to be hard to compete cost-wise. Barbers already complain about clipper prices and our tools that we create and those prices. A mold, for example, in China can range anywhere from $1,500, $2,000 for really small stuff, all the way up to $200,000 for really big stuff. A lot of people don't understand this. We've paid as much as $80,000 for one mold because it was big. It was a big mold and you had to use a special machine to create that mold. If we did it in the United States, it would be 3 to 4 times the price to create that mold. In the United States, the cheapest you're gonna get probably $3,000 to $4,000 for a very small mold, and that $80,000 mold would have probably cost us $200,000, $250,000 here. How can you compete as a small company if you're making stuff in the United States? It's very, very difficult. And in my head, Tomb 45 probably employs 20 people, Tomb 45 and the whole ecosystem there. The barbershops probably employ 70 something people. These are jobs that people want. A lot of people don't want factory jobs anymore. Why? Because unions aren't as popular anymore, pensions aren't as popular anymore. These used to be things that were common for factory workers. People would rather drive Uber than work a factory job these days. I get the beauty and the idea of making stuff in the States, but in 2023, it doesn't really translate the way it used to 20, 30 years ago. That's my opinion. Nonetheless, we're still creating jobs here in the United States, good paying jobs here in the United States, while remaining competitive and staying in business and being able to create more technology, nicer things. We do have some things that are made here in the States, and most of those things are not profitable for us. We started here and we're just keeping it here. Once we have a working prototype, guess what time it is? It's time to start making those molds that we just talked about and the tooling. And the tooling is pretty much all the components, all the tools that you need to create and duplicate the same product over and over and over again. There isn't just tools made for power pods to create that tool consistently over and over and over again. You actually have to make the tools too to make it a consistent product. Because why? Well, if it's a brand new product, it's never been created before, it probably isn't tooling made for that. You don't just do generic tooling. Between the molds, the tooling and all that, there goes a couple $100,000. Well, wait, it depends. When you look at the power pods, each pod has 2 different molds, the top and the bottom. If you have 13 of them, the bottom mold probably stays the same, but in actuality, there's 3 different bottoms because there's 3 different, I want to call it voltage regulators that we have to put inside. So there's going to be 3 different bottoms, and then obviously there's going to be 13 different tops. We said the cost of these molds, if it's smaller, can be, really small, $1,500. Medium, which is probably a little bit bigger than small, probably the power pods, you're looking at $3,000 to $4,000 each. Well, if we have 13 tops, 3 bottoms, that's 16. Let's go on the low end and say $3,000. 16 times 3, you're at $50,000 at least, right? And by the way, we have to keep making these things. We have another 10 on the way. There's another $30,000, and that's on the low end. So now you're at almost $100,000 if we're just gonna average it out. At $100,000 on just those, and then you have the base, which is a large mold that can range anywhere from 50 to 100 grand. So now you're at another 100 grand, you're at 200 plus the 100 to just get the prototype going, you're at 300 grand. You haven't even sold anything yet. And by the way, most of the time, the molds aren't perfect the first time around. You gotta make changes because you missed something. When you finally figure it out, you gotta go retool and remold. If you have, like we said, 16 molds, you're never gonna get it in 16 tries. You're probably gonna get it in 25 tries. So just make sure you have a buffer for accidents. By the time you have packaging, everything figured out, all the shipping from shipping, samples and all that stuff, getting your first 100 units, making 100 units and doing QC, we're already at 400, 500 grand. Think about that for a second. And we haven't even made $1 yet. And you gotta pay that money up front. You don't even know if this product is gonna be successful, okay? But there's guys that don't understand this stuff. For a small company, we gotta come out with one thing that's good and that obviously people want, and then evolve from there once revenues start coming in. But you can't just make that product, have it in 5 different colors, offer 30 different power pods before it's released, even though a new clipper drops every single month. It's just not possible for a small company to do that. But you got these know-it-alls that they think they know more than we do, and they're trying to tell us that we suck. But mother effer, I don't see you making shit. Put your money where your mouth is. You'll change the game if you care that much, right? So anyways, well, when you release, how many units should you have in stock? People get mad at us for being sold out all the time. Let's say we decide we're gonna order a few thousand of each of the pods. If it costs you, let's say $10 to make a pod, and you order 3,000 of each, there's 13 of them, you're looking at about 12,000 units. That's another 120 grand that you gotta cough up before making any money. Now you're at 620, 700 grand. You haven't made a dime yet. It takes about anywhere from 45 to 90 days because you gotta ship it on a damn ship. 30 days to make it, another 30 days in shipping. If you're lucky, you have to do it by ship, or I don't know if you guys have seen shipping costs. That's going to eat up all your margins, all your profits. Because if you do it by air, forget about it. It's going to cost you $10 a unit to ship it. So now you're at $20 a pod. There's not enough margin there. And I'll explain why in just a bit. What about the bases? If you're gonna have 13,000 pods, you're gonna need another 5,000 bases. The bases cost $50 to make, ship to door, but you need, 4,000 of them. Guys, you're at like 200 grand right there. You're creeping up on $1 million. You haven't even sold a product yet. And you don't even get the product for another 60 to 90 days. Because if customs holds your order when the ship arrives, that's happened to us where they held it for 30 to 60 days extra. And everybody's mad at us because they haven't gotten their product yet. Bro, I'm $1 million in the hole right now. I want the product here just as bad as you guys. $1 million cash. And a lot of companies, they get into $1 million in debt to do this. They're stressing even more. And we haven't even sold a product yet. But guess what? You got marketing. You got influencers you got to pay for, right? Because you want to build a team of educators and promote that way. You have a warehouse that you're paying rent for. You have tools, forklifts, and all this that you're paying for. You have employees, pick, pack, and shippers, customer service reps. These shows, we just did CT Barber Expo. We probably spent 80 grand at CT Barber Expo just showing up. Brands don't make money. Big brands don't make money going to these shows. So when you think about all these extra costs, you're well over $1 million. You haven't even sold a product yet. You haven't even sold a product yet, guys. So we started out with the 6-unit pod because it's going to be a bigger ticket item and bring in revenues quicker. Then with that money, we can start coming out with different colors. Then with that money, we can continue to develop and keep up with all the new clippers that drop every damn week. Then with that money, we can come out with a 4-unit power pod. I got ideas too. You think we don't have the same ideas as you guys? We have a lot of ideas plus some. We want to come out with pods that have wireless charging, a cradle for your phone and your wireless charging clippers. We want to come out with a pod. I'm not going to tell you this one, but we have a cool idea for a pod. We want to come out with a pod that has USB-C, ports in it. We want to come out with a pod that extends your units even more, and draws power from one of the slots. We have lots of ideas that we can do with this thing. But if it was as easy as you guys think it is, for all our critics, man, teach us how to do it better. Teach us how to do it better. And I'll continue in just a bit. I'm at the Bexley location. I can't wait to make this announcement of this idea that I have. I think it's going to be a really dope concept. Sure, hi. Say hi to guys. All right, I was supposed to finish that video up, that whole conversation with you guys up, except moments right after that video, I get a phone call from my wife. She gets into a car accident, so I got super worried. I was like a half hour away from where the accident occurred. Luckily, she is safe. She's fine. Everybody was okay. But I think the car is totaled. These are the posts from my Instagram. This is our newest car. You guys can see how it looks. Doesn't look that bad, but Teslas are very expensive with parts, and they're hard to find, and they're always behind as far as with fixing cars. So that's the only downfall with Teslas. This is the last car we had a year ago. Literally this time, it was March of last year. Our last Tesla Model X, almost the same exact car accident, hitting on almost the same exact spot, and that car was a total loss. The insurance company totaled it. So this one's probably totaled as well. What a damn headache. Car prices are down, but interest rates are super high right now. So probably have to replace it and refinance later when interest rates drop. So that was that. Then I had to go to my son's football game. Shout out to my son Elijah. They won a championship game. They went undefeated this season. And look at this catch that he caught. It was 8-6 at halftime. And then for some reason, I didn't record nothing the entire game. And for some reason, it was like God told me, bro, record this, bro. And look at this play that Elijah did. This changed the whole outcome of the game. From there, the team went on a run. We ended up winning 28-18. Shout out to the Coyotes, my son, 12 and under team. They killed it this season. And then I wanted to kind of show you guys this real quick. Going back to the topic. This material is a very expensive material. It's not cheap. It's inflammable plastic. You can't burn this. It doesn't catch on fire. So that was a premium cost. The way that the pods connect, okay, is with these little two, you see the bottom, those two touching points. That is premium as well. We could have just done, it's a plug, just a plug and goes in. We could have done that as well, but we wanted it to be nice and premium. There's rubber all in here. This is so it doesn't slip and slide. Even though it's a snug fit, it doesn't slip and slide. It also helps with noise, vibration. Sometimes your station's vibrating from machines and stuff, whatever it may be, your compressors. This was just an added touch, a nice added touch, a little rubber layer there. This is a prototype, that's why it's white. We also made it so it can easily come in and start charging, So you don't have to push it in for it to start charging. It'll start charging right at contact. I find this important. I hate docks that you have to push in and then pull out. I want it to just be able to, boom, sit in there, easily take out. Sit in there, easily take out. Does it have just a little bit of give? Just a tiny bit. It's not going anywhere. It was done like that on purpose. To me, that's premium. It's much easier to make it so that it's a snug fit. You have to push it in, because then you don't have to worry about this mold right here. This mold can be just like a plug would be, and then we would just copy the plug and it would literally plug into your clipper instead of your clipper just sitting right in. That's a premium thing to me. We also have ports on both sides. You guys can see the bottom has a little rubber leg so that it doesn't slide. Okay, the little rubber attachments. Inside of each of these is a PCB board. We call it a voltage regulating system. Okay, and what that does is it makes sure whatever the voltage is supposed to be, it's regulated so it doesn't burn out your tools. Okay, so it doesn't burn out your tools. I don't know if anybody else can say that they do that. Well, maybe, but I don't know if anybody else can say that they do that. Okay, we didn't have to do this, but we wanted it to be a premium product. We wanted to bring some innovation and some evolution to this product. Okay, so not only does it regulate how much power is coming in here so it doesn't burn out your tool, it also makes sure that you're getting full charging capacity no matter how many clippers are on. That is a 60-watt power supply. Just research to see if any product like this comes with a power supply with that much wattage. That is also a very expensive premium edition. We could have done the same, just match everything everybody else did. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to bring something premium to the table. We knew it was going to be priced a little bit more expensive, but we figured these guys are professional. And if it's $80 more than the competitor, I'm sure, it's a write-off. These guys would rather have faster charging, a more premium product. That's what we thought. And I think we're right. We're getting a lot of support from you guys. But of course, there is a whole community of barbers that, they won't even spend more than $30 on a pair of shears. You guys know what I'm talking. If we were using standard margins necessary for a business to do well, this thing would have to have been priced at $400. We figured we could probably make this up on volume, price it as a kit together, way substantially cheaper at $325. Plus, if you use one of the discount codes that we give you for joining our mailing list, or some of our affiliate partners who give an affiliate link as well, you can get that discount code and it'll be less than $300 for this product, less than $300. Now, like I was telling you guys, we're a small company and it takes time to keep up with these things because we're not just printing these, from a computer. We don't have that luxury. Unfortunately, that's one of the compromises that you have to do when you're creating something at a plastic mold injection at scale. The benefit of it is it ships the next day. You order, it ships the next day. Other benefit is it's just gonna be a better quality build. It's not gonna break as easy, it's gonna be a better material and all that good stuff, right? This is why I tell people, I'm not in competition with anybody. We can all coexist. Some people have their preferences, some people don't. I think our product is superior only because it's more expensive and we spent the money to make it premium. But other guys, they definitely shaved off a lot of costs by making them a little bit differently. On a spec sheet, no one can say that there's a better performing product or more premium product. That's all I'm saying on a spec sheet. And I'm not gonna sit here and say ours is a cheaper price than other people's products. I'm not gonna sit there and say that. The other compromise by doing things this way, you can't just launch with 15 different colors, 50 different pods, unless you're a huge company like some of these clipper companies that are, billion-dollar companies, do hundreds of millions of dollars in revenues. We'll get there though. We gonna get there. Don't get me wrong. We're patient, we're doing things slower, I get it, but this is a marathon. This ain't a race. And if you guys are patient with us and you support the brand, we're gonna get there. We will have more colors coming out. We will have more pods coming out. This year, we're gonna catch up to all the new stuff that comes out, even though new stuff comes out every single month. We are working diligently to keep up with the demand. Just have faith that I have faith. I know that our team is working hard every single day and that, we're gonna deliver. But that's it, guys. Listen, I wanted to give you guys some insight on what all goes behind, something that a lot of people take for granted, a product that looks like it's something simple, a product that looks like, I feel like engineering is one of the most overlooked and underappreciated things in society, and not just in this industry, but just in general. When you see dope engineering, like I hear critics about Teslas, for example. You know how incredible it is that someone engineered a car that can drive itself? Even if it's not perfect, the fact that 90% of the time I can rely on it while I'm driving is incredible. And people just talk shit about it all the time. What spoiled society we live in, bro. You put a car like this in an underdeveloped country that most of the world doesn't have internet or clean running water. A lot of people don't realize that that's still true today. Competition is amazing and all that, but I also think that we've become so critical, so cynical, and so underappreciative of innovation, of people who are engineering things, especially the ones who are doing it with their own hard-earned money. You know, I tell a lot of my close ones and you know, some of the guys in the mentorship, if it was about the money, I would just stop. I would just stop, liquidate as much as possible, park all that cash into some safe interest-bearing accounts, bonds, stuff like that, and just live happily forever off the interest. It's obviously not about that. I love the industry. I love what it's provided for me, for my family, for my loved ones, and for so many people all over the world that I meet at shows and, you know, I see in the comment sections and stuff. I don't think there's enough brands and people, you know, that are in my shoes or looking, have the ambitions to do something similar, that are sharing not just the beauty of it, not just the cool stuff, but what all comes with it. And so I just kind of wanted to use my platform to give you guys that insight, to give you guys that perspective that's, you know, not easy to find. It wasn't easy to Google, you know, someone talking about this topic. I wish I would have been able to watch videos like this before, you know, this journey got started, because I didn't know what all came with this. I just did it. You know, when we have fires, we put out the fires as they came, and here we are today. I can see how easy it is, looking from the outside in, to overlook so many of these things, and so I just want to kind of share that. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys today.